CSS has a very unique spirit within the corporate culture. We are very community focused in terms of what our staff brings to the community, what our staff brings to our clients that we serve. We're also a very collaborative organization, an organization that cares deeply about the community and what services that potentially could be utilized and developed in the community that aren't currently being used for the clients.
What a great work it is to join CSS board to help remove the stigma, and you'll hear me say that often because I think in my community it is very stigmatized. It's highly stigmatized, and we don't get the mental health support. I believe that being a part of that board, getting the word out, being an active member, as well as partnering with CSS to get the message out that mental health is important. With the death of my father, I was told to be strong and that I would get over it. 20 years after his death, it was still difficult for me to be strong and get over it. I was depressed. I was feeling sad and didn't realize that I had triggers of things from my childhood, and I didn't realize that that was mental health until I talked to a mental health professional and realized that grief is a part of mental health and that it is something that we need to deal with in order to overcome it.
So PEG's foundation was founded by Peg Morgan. We used to be called the Margaret Clark Morgan Foundation, but it got really complicated to say, and even I stumbled over it, no offense to our founder. And everyone that knew Peg knew her as Peg, not as the more formal name. Peg was a mom, cared about her son, and her son has schizophrenia. And that was ultimately the inspiration for her and her husband, Bert Morgan, to found the foundation and create it and put it in motion in about 2001. Peg was sitting around a boardroom. We were arguing about a small grant, and she wrote 2 words on a piece of paper, "Think bigger." And it inspired us to really get out and think about who are our partners in our backyard and beyond that have the capability of doing that. And ultimately, one of the earliest partnerships with community support services was the Margaret Clark Morgan Integrated Care Clinic, which was bringing behavioral health care and primary care together.
Community support services program, specifically case management, is crucial in people living with a mental health condition, especially chronic mental health conditions. Oftentimes, the client is isolated. Oftentimes, they rely on their families and becomes a really heavy load for their families to deal with. With case management through community support services, that load is lifted a little bit off the families. They can rely on the services of their case manager, whereas a family member would have had to pitch in and do those specific things. Anyone can achieve mental health care by coming to community support services and getting the excellent quality care for mental health that they provide.
For me, I believe mental health is very important, and however with that, it's stigmatized if anyone has any mental health conditions. And yet looking in my life and my family, I realized that we had some mental health challenges as well, and that we needed to focus on being healthy for the whole person, mental health and physical health.
Community support services is one of those wonderfully led, awesome organizations here locally, because there's very few agencies that know how to and or are willing to handle a population of folks that have serious and persistent mental illness that are often hard to deal with. Oftentimes there's a lack of desire to seek treatment. There's a denial of the illness. Community support services is one of those providers and organizations in our area that does work behind the scenes. It's some of the toughest work, and it's also some of the most meaningful. And if you're really looking to make an impact in a serious, significant way that honestly can be immediately felt by you and the people you're helping to serve, CSS is the place to do it.